Last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. This song is going to have a totally different meaning to you after this video today. Because did you know that hearts actually can be preserved exceptionally well compared to other body parts? Anyway, today we're talking about relics. This is my Christmas gift to you, an extra video today to talk about something that I have found very interesting and that has led me down a lot of other rabbit holes along the way. So I'm very excited about this one today. Merry Christmas. And by the way, I've been making a lot of shorts lately about books which I have found interesting, and I hope you've been watching them. I've also been publishing some articles in the social media concerning some of the videos that I have made. I'm saying this because this video had so much interesting kind of background stories to it that there'll be a lot of articles that you can find in my Facebook page and on my Instagram page if you want to kind of deep dive into some of the subject matter that we're going to be talking about today. And also, one of the articles led me to discover an incredible author, which I'm already in love with. And this led to me getting like 3 of her books. So I'll be talking about those in the shorts. So remember to watch those too. Getting back to us, what is a relic? We're talking specifically today about relics of the Catholic Church, the cult of relics within the Catholic Church. But the cult of relics is not something which you only find in the Catholic religion. You find it in Islam, you find it in Judaism, you find it even in Buddhism. Less so, but also a little bit in Hinduism too. Also, belief systems which aren't so much about deities, but more about ancestors have a form of cult of relics, okay? Even in a secular kind of situation, you could almost say that human beings are prone to a cult of relics. Think about people who go crazy over things which belong to rock stars or to musicians or to actors, people that go almost on a pilgrimage to go and visit like the home of Elvis Presley, okay? So today I want to talk about something which seems to be very much innate in our way of being human beings, and I will explain as we go along that it seems to be really something that is kind of wired in our brains, all right? And you will see that the cult of relics, specifically in the Catholic Church, is not something so much as from the past as you think. In fact, it is very contemporary even today. At the end of the video, you will find out just how contemporary that is, okay? Let's get to also making them cookies that you saw me kind of prepare in the previous video. Okay, so the cult of relics, we have records of it being a thing already in the 2nd century. It could even go as far back as the 1st century. So we're talking about the beginnings of Christianity. Christianity isn't legal yet. So the earliest saints that we have are saints who are martyr saints. So the saints are basically being killed because they are Christians, and we have record of followers of fellow Christians which go to the place where these saints were martyred and collect like the blood or, you know, the body parts and things like this. So we already start to have this concept. It's very important, this, because you have to think that Christianity only becomes legal in 312, okay? 312, how do you say it? 312. And that means that before then, we do not have churches, we don't have temples, so we don't have places where people can go and worship. So the tomb of the saint, the tomb of the martyr, the body even of the martyr, acts as a substitute to that place of worship. Okay, so it really takes on the place of a temple in other religions, okay? Then as Christianity does become legal, this cult, this kind of almost obsession continues, and it becomes stronger and stronger, okay? Relics will be really the focus of worship within the Catholic Church from around, it reaches a height during the 8th century all through till the 12th and 13th century. And even though it stops being as much on the rise as it was, during that period, it still continues to be a focal point for the Catholic Church as we continue, and even to this day, as we will see later. So we start to see these relics being worshipped, people traveling far to go and worship these relics. And we start to develop the concept that these relics have supernatural powers which can perform miracles, can heal people, can bless people, okay? And it's not just the relic in itself, it's also the whole experience, right? Because we start to also see pilgrimages, we start to see people making their way along these routes to go and worship these places and see all the different burials of the different saints. So the fact that you've walked there and it's been a long voyage and it's been, kind of hard on you, and then you reach this place, maybe it's a catacomb underground and there's incense burning, this is a very important part of it too, because scent really awakes the senses in an almost magical way. So your supernatural experience when you're in front of these relics is kind of heightened by the fact that, as I said, you get there tired, then there's this really, really incredible scent, and there's dark lights, and so you kind of have this really, really magical experience. So this is how it all starts. But it starts in a spiritual way, and then it kind of grows and becomes a big commercial thing too, okay? In fact, I've read, and I will put it in the social media and in the description below, an article which was very interesting that talks about these relics almost as in kind of like really from a commercial perspective, because we start to see them being sold, being stolen, being divided, just like any other commodity, okay, which not everyone could afford. If you couldn't, obviously a lot of people could not afford a full-blown relic, so we start to see what were called the brandea during this period. A brandea would be like, you'd go with this little piece, this little rag, and you'd go to the burial of the saint, and obviously if you were very lucky and you were in early times, you'd get to see one being slaughtered, and then you dip like the piece of rag in the actual blood, but most people couldn't do that. So you would there was this whole way of doing it where you would go to the tomb, and then you'd like wave around this like piece of fabric close to where the body was, and then some people said that you had to really pray whilst you were doing this, and you'd have to some people even said you'd have to like not eat for a day before you do this, so you'd like almost a preparation for a spell almost, okay? And then you'd wave around this piece of cloth and you'd take it home with you, which was like basically infused with the powers, the supernatural powers of this saint that you would take with you. These saints are almost like lesser versions of Jesus, people that you aspire to be like, people that intercede between you and God. So it's really a way of kind of perpetuating the importance of these saints within the Catholic Church. So this closeness that you get to them by being in the presence and taking home a part of them. Basically, they're rock stars. They're so famous that everyone literally wants a piece of them. Okay, haha, pun intended. So it starts to become a really big thing, and small like regular people, this is how they do it, but then more powerful, more important people actually want the real body part. So we start to see these saints taken apart and to pieces. Now, the Catholic Church actually says that you're not supposed to go like do weird stuff to the body, like you're supposed to leave it as it is, all right, for the Catholic Church. So there's this kind of contradiction between like regular people shouldn't be taken apart, but saints, it's actually okay to take them apart. So it is this weird contradiction. We also have some people within the church which are against this practice. We even have one guy saying, guys, this is like almost pagan, this. And in fact, the whole idea of the brandea and of having these magical pieces are a little bit like talismans and they are kind of inheriting this concept that we have in pagan times of having these talismans, like magical writing, things which you can use in your everyday life to basically magic, okay? So this new religion is trying to be different, but at the same time it has to pick up some things from the past and transform them into a Christian way. But some theologians are saying this is kind of pagan, this is just another form of pagan magic of sorts. But most of them are, like, the most important ones are saying, no, this is absolutely fine. Like, so for example, like Saint Jerome says, no, this is cool, don't worry. Even Saint Augustine, which is usually, you know, so rational, he's absolutely fine with the cult of relics. Obviously, smart people do have the idea that maybe some of these relics aren't exactly the real deal. By the 4th century, we have 2 heads of Saint John the Baptist, which are circulating in Europe. And by the 11th century, they both end up in the same place in Constantinople. All right, Constantinople will be a massive center for the collection of relics. Like, they go crazy collecting as many relics as possible. So by the 12th century, we have a lot of relics are there in Constantinople, all right? And then there'll be the sack of Constantinople at the beginning of the 13th century, which will mean that a lot of them get lost, but there will be a lot of fake ones put into circulation because people are like, oh yes, because of the sack, this piece arrived to me and I'm selling it to you. So we have a lot of even more fake relics put into circulation following the sack of Constantinople. But let's take a few steps back. So back to the 4th century, Christianity becomes legal at the beginning of the 4th century. By the end of the 4th century, we already have religious battles. We have a lot of religious battles during this period. You remember I mentioned it during the video of the hooligans in Constantinople. So we have a lot of different forms of Christianity and people which are kind of fighting over which is the right one. And in Milan, we have Ambrose, who is a supporter of the Christianity, which kind of continued to us today. And then we have an empress coming from Constantinople to Milan, who is Arian. I know you know Arians for another reason, this word. We'll talk about how it ends up tied with the Nazis in another video, but it's another form of Christianity that we see during this period. So that is what she's believing. So she comes to town, and so Ambrose is trying to make a point of kind of pulling the people to his side compared to her side. And so there's this really famous case which gives you a really like iconic idea of what's happening at the time with these relics. So he is consecrating a basilica, and during the consecration, which is a big social event, a lot of people are there, he makes this big scene of, during the consecration, finding these relics, these body parts of 2 saints, which, for your information, had never been mentioned before as being saints, like saints that he totally I don't want to say invented, but saints that just appear out of nowhere that no one ever heard of. We hear about them for the first time in that moment as he turns up with these body parts out of the ground that he finds, like, and through, usually, like, there would be famous people that would find these relics, which would be people that you'd never heard of before, saints that you'd never heard of before. And the reason why we would know it was true would be like a dream, or like God had appeared to them telling them, oh, you know, things like this, okay? So as you can imagine, a lot of people are kind of side-eyeing this and being like, is this real? Like, do we really believe this? And especially like very educated theologians, some of them, in a way, they want to continue this, they want to perpetuate this, but in a way they're also like, don't want to seem totally dumb. So they come up with, you know, Pascal, that the bet on God, basically it's this philosopher that says many centuries later, he's like, well, you might as well believe in God, because if you believe in God and God is not there, then, you know, you didn't lose anything. If you believe in God and God is there, then, you know, it was good that you believed in God, wasn't it? So it's kind of like an early version of the bet on God. It's like the bet on the relic. Like, if followers, these theologians are saying, if followers do good things, or because they're worshipping these relics, or they pray to these relics believing they're true, then it's the same as if they were. So it's fine, you know, what shoe fits, you know, it's absolutely fine. So yeah, we start to see this happening by the 6th century. This is full blown. And then in the 8th century, we have the Council of Nicaea, which was 787, I want to say. I'm going to go with 787, and you can comment below if I got that wrong. I believe it was 787, the Council of Nicaea, which says that you need a relic to consecrate a church. Okay. So you can imagine that at this point we have, like, everyone is going around trying to find relics because you need them to consecrate churches. But you know who has a lot of relics? The Italian peninsula. You know who has very few because they had no martyrs, because it wasn't happening there, all of this stuff before, was, you know, Northern Europe. So Northern Europe has to buy all their relics from, you know, the Italian peninsula or from, you know, other places. And so we start to really see a big commerce in relics. And obviously we start to see saints being taken apart more and more and being divided into all kinds of different pieces. And it becomes a bit like a wild west of relics, okay? So even though the Catholic Church condemns the sale of them and condemns the unlawful appropriation of them, everyone just does what the heck they want and often justifies their behavior in the most absurd ways. So for example, the body of Saint Nicholas, so Father Christmas, so we can stay in theme basically. So the body of Father Christmas was in Myra, and Myra had been very powerful city, but by this stage in the 11th century, it wasn't so powerful anymore. His body was in this convent, this monastery rather, and then you get these, basically, I want to say pirates that just go there, raid the place and take away the body and take him back to Bari. He is the patron saint of Bari. And when the monks obviously are very upset about this and they're putting up a fight, because they do this at sword point, right? And they're like, if the saint wanted to stay with you, he would do something about it now. So if he's coming away with us, he obviously is fine at coming to Bari and he doesn't want to be here anymore. And the whole justification of this behavior of basically raiding this place and taking the saint away with them was, well, the saint allowed us to do it because he was tired of being in this, place which used to be really cool, and now there's no one here and there's no one here to worship him because this city sucks now, and so we're taking him to a city which is a lot more full of people and much more exciting because he wants to have more worshippers and more exciting life, basically, because Bari at that point was at the height of its it's living its best life, basically. So yeah, we have this concept that the body of the saint is a bit like a kid in his college years that doesn't just want to stick in the suburbs but wants to live in a major city. Okay, and this was the justification. And then we had other people that used this event to sell other body parts of God knows who, to say, oh, actually during this transition we got hold of a part of the body of Saint Nicholas. Okay, so it's actually pretty hilarious, to be perfectly honest. We even have certain people that are obsessed with the collection of relics, especially rich people that can afford this, rulers. Well, a little bit because these relics are a way to show the people that your country is more powerful, your dominion is more powerful, you're doing better, we are better than them because we have more relics, okay? So it becomes a lot of, almost like a national identity kind of thing. So for example, in the 1200s, there was this really funny speech that the bishop gave at Westminster to say that we now have the blood of Christ. There's all kind, the blood of Christ is everywhere. It's we have a lot of relics of the blood of Christ. We have the blood of Christ. The French, they have the Holy Lance, the holy the one that pierced his rib cage. So they have the lance, but theirs is not as good as ours as a relic, because ours is an actual part of Jesus, whereas theirs is only holy because it touched the blood of Christ. So our blood of Christ, our relic is better than theirs. So like, it was a total homily, like an hour-long speech to say how our relics is better than the French's relics. Okay, really hilarious, to be honest. And then we have people like Saint Huge, who, like, he became a saint. This dude, which I'm about to tell you of, actually, he was a bishop in the UK. He actually became a saint, this guy, okay? He was an obsessive compulsive collector of relics. He would go around, his ring was a tooth of Saint Benedict, okay? When he went to visit this place in France where Mary Magdalene was apparently in two different, her arm ended up being in two different places at the same time as well. Like, we'll go into that on another occasion because that's very interesting. But he basically, there was these monks which were, guarding the place, that had the place where the relic was. He asked to go see it. And when he went to see it, he decided to take off like one of her fingers to take it home. And they put up a big resistance. They did not want him to take off a piece. And by the way, apparently it would not snap off. So he had to literally bite it off with his teeth. And the monks were really upset at this. And you know what he said? He was like, well, you gave me Holy Communion before and gave me the body of Christ in my mouth. So why can't I take a finger of Mary Magdalene in my mouth? Can't argue with that, to be honest. So, as you can see, this cult of relics is kind of getting out of hand. So it has a big spiritual part to it. It has also a very big commercial side to it as well. Now, when I was preparing for this video, I just kept thinking, like, how are people so obsessed with these relics, and how did they work? Because, they performed all these miracles. I was just interested more in like the wiring of the brain, of the human nature behind this. Okay, so, well, first of all, as I said, we always want to have something magical so we can control the world around us, right? And this we had in pagan times, and so we had to find something to substitute that with this new religion, right? So these magical objects from the past that would have been totally different, now they're relics or things that have been close to the saint. But it's also apparently, from what I've read, and I've read some really interesting articles and studies that have been done on this, it kind of activates a part of the brain, which is the social part of the brain. Now, I'm not a neuroscientist, so if you want to go more into depth, you can read this incredible study that was made in 2016 by some guy, Fusari. I remember his surname, that's about it, so at least I've quoted him. So, and this took me down a total different rabbit hole, which is fascinating. So I have a friend in the US which told me that he had started doing this, there's this practice which is called serious play, Lego serious play. So with Legos, there's this form of playing with Legos and he became like, he's done a course to become a facilitator for this. You can go and do this kind of team building experiences where together you play with Lego in a certain way, which kind of helps you develop a number of capabilities and of it makes you better at working together, but it also helps you kind of develop certain skills in your brain function, basically, right? So this Lego serious play, which is a thing, it's an actual thing, okay? This Lego serious play was used in an experiment to figure out what happens to the human brain when it is in the presence of relics. Basically, these people were put together to do these games and to build these, to do this gaming together, to basically create some things with Legos together. And so they were like together, they would have to create something which represented a certain idea, okay? And they would do this as a group. when they were, basically they put, the sticky things on their head and they started asking them questions. And they were asking them questions first about the physical characteristics of these objects which they had created out of Legos. And certain parts of the brain lit up, which are the parts of the brains which are connected to actual manual labor, manual activities. But when they asked these people questions about the very same objects, but pertaining to what they meant, what the symbology behind them was, the part of the brain which is connected to social interactions lit up. So the symbology of things, when we give something, an object, a symbolic meaning, then it is the part of the brain which is connected to society and to us, to being basically social animals, that lights up. Okay. Obviously, this is not just pertaining to relics, which are, body parts of saints. This is anything which we give a specific meaning to, and we give it that meaning, and we kind of agree upon that meaning as a society. And that, the experience of that is a social experience. And as human beings, we are wired to really give that a lot of value. It's a very important part of being human beings. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but what I'm trying to tell you is that these relics are important for the human beings which are experiencing them, because they are really experiencing the relics when they see them, because in that moment, you are connected to the rest of your society. It's a social experience, the one that we have in front of relics. So it's not just about, I want it to cure me, I want it to bless me, I want the magical aspect of it. It's also the social aspect of it. Like, together as a society, we believe in this together. Do you get it? Which is also, religion is a social experience, in a way, right? I will link below everything that I've, so you can deep dive into this, because it is fascinating. I found this really, really, really interesting. So, going back to relics within the Catholic Church, this is something which is not only something of the past, all right? It's something which the stealing, the thieving, the selling is still something that happens today, all right? So in 2022, the blood of Christ was actually, well, not the blood of Christ, one of the bloods of Christ, like a relic holder containing the blood of Christ. To be fair, people used to steal the relics in the past, also because of them actually being relics. Today, I would say that probably people steal them more because of the relic holder, because it's gold and silver and all of that. So the relic holder containing the blood of Christ was stolen by the church, from the Church of Fécamp in France. And then it was actually given back by, like, apparently the people that stole it, when they realized what it was, they just felt that it would be dangerous because they would be cursed by this. They probably realized it was unsellable at this point, because everyone would have known what the relic holder was. But it reappeared on the doorstep of this guy, which is a little bit like the 007 of the art world, Arthur Brandt in Holland. So it was given back after just like a few weeks. When was it? It was in 2006, I believe, or I can't remember exactly when it was. A few years back, the heart of St. Lawrence, which is the patron saint of Dublin, was stolen. The heart is very interesting. We have a lot of preserved hearts of saints, because I didn't know this, but I've been deep diving a lot on mummies and body parts recently. I don't know why, but I've got this great book about mummies, which talks about how, like, to preserve different parts of the body and so forth. But apparently the heart, you can preserve it very, very well. It's quite easy to preserve. In fact, during the Crusades, when people would die and you would want to take them home, but it was just so hard to take the whole thing home because it's rotting and it's heavy, so often they would kind of like dry it out and kind of half mummify it, just so it was easier to carry. And then they would use, they would just like bury certain parts of it there. So sorry, so yeah, in certain cases they would take home like the mummified version. In certain cases, they would just bury most of it there and take the heart home. So you would take the heart home to like someone's wife. So be like, oh, look, I couldn't carry the whole thing home from, you know, the Holy Land. So I left most of it there, but here's the heart of your husband, okay? Or I discovered that they would even like boil down the body so that then they could bring home just the bones and stuff. Very, very fascinating. Anyway, getting back to this heart, this is the heart of St. Lawrence, the patron saint of Dublin. And so this one was stolen with the relic holder and everything, obviously. And a few years later, they gave it back because apparently the people who had stolen it experienced a lot of members of the family dying of heart attacks, so because it was cursed. Now we don't know if this is true, but I think that probably experiencing the curse of a Catholic relic is a lot easier if you come from a very Catholic country like Ireland. So this is just my personal opinion, but so yeah. Now I want to tell you about a very recent, the most recent, I think, documentation that I have for you to tell you how important relics still are for the Catholic Church. So, San Carlo Acutis was a young boy who died in 2006 at the age of 15. He died of leukemia, and he was made a saint. He's been nicknamed the influencer saint, and he's the patron saint of technology and internet and everything like this, because during his life he did a lot to kind of make known, you know, things about the Catholic Church. He was very Christian, and and he used technology to kind of help out in this way his parish and stuff like that. So after his death, they started towards his canonization, and relics of this boy have traveled the world. His heart has been preserved, and it is still today in the Church of Saint. He became a saint this year, by the way. In 2025, he became a saint. He is one of the most recent saints, and his heart is preserved inside the Church of San Rufino in Assisi. And his mother, one of the miracles which were performed by him that allowed him to become a saint was the fact that a sweater that he had used was sent by his mother to South America, where the cult is very, very much thriving, the cult of San Carlo Acutis. And in Brazil, in 2013, apparently, allegedly, a child of 6 years old was cured by a congenital disease of the pancreas by praying in front of the relic, this sweater that belonged to San Carlo Acutis. This miracle has been accepted by the Catholic Church and is one of the reasons why this boy was made a saint this very year, okay? And when he was made a saint, 2 relics that are concerning this saint were stolen in South America in the days following him being declared a saint. So as you can see, this is very, very much happening still to this day. So let me know what you think about relics. I am now obsessed. Like, I was always interested in relics, but after preparing for this video, I am now obsessed, and I'm gonna be certainly diving more and more into more specific cases. Let me know what you think, and remember to follow us also on social media, and remember to subscribe and share. Merry Christmas!